Kimmy's actions in this episode started a conversation that many fans did not expect. The moment she walked into that little store and started talking about who she invited and who she did not invite, everything in her behavior showed that something deeper was going on. She tried so hard to look calm on the outside, but her tone and her face showed that she was uncomfortable, and she knew she was about to explain something that did not make sense. When Kimmy said she did not invite Nell because she wanted her to focus on her own event, that already sounded like an excuse. It did not sound honest, and it did not match the energy she had when she spoke to the other women. The truth is, she simply did not want Nell there. And instead of just saying that, she chose to create a story that only confused the situation more. This is where everything started to break apart because her words did not match her actions and people could see the shift in her body language. When Kimmy repeated that explanation in her confessional, she tried to make it sound reasonable. She tried to say it slowly, like she was being thoughtful. But the problem is, when someone is telling the truth, it feels natural. When someone is not telling the truth, the explanation feels stretched out, heavy, and weak. And it was weak, because she also told the other women a different reason. She claimed Nell couldn't come. That was not the same thing she said in the confessional. That switch in her story is why fans immediately started paying attention. If she had simply told the truth from the beginning, nobody would be talking about this. But she chose to hide her real choice behind two different stories. And when people do that, it always comes back later. Destiny added a new layer when she said she thought Nell was not invited because Tisha was there. That created tension right away. When Tisha acted shocked, acting like she had no idea why anyone would think that, it felt fake. Tisha has a habit of pretending she is confused when drama starts, even though she usually knows exactly what is going on. She does this every season. She waits for other people to look messy first, then she reacts as if she is innocent. And Kimmy supports her in that behavior. The two of them often team up when it comes to judging other women, but they stay silent when it comes to holding men accountable. The way Kimmy and Tisha sat together in judgment over Nell and Destiny said a lot about the dynamic between them. They move like they are always trying to protect the image of being perfect wives, even when their own marriages are full of problems. They judge women who try to stand up for themselves. They judge women who speak out. They judge women who want better for themselves. But they do not judge the men who cause the problems. This pattern has repeated too many times on the show, and this episode showed it again. The NDA topic came up again, and Trish added her own point, saying Destiny delivered the NDA the wrong way. The truth is, most viewers barely remembered that situation because so many random scenes have been thrown into the season. The pacing feels chaotic and the storylines feel disconnected. Still, when Tisha suddenly said she thinks she should have apologized to Nell and to Chris Fletcher, it did not sound sincere. She had plenty of time to apologize if she wanted to. She did not. She only said it now because it made her look level-headed. But actions matter more than words, and her actions showed that she did not care until the moment she had an audience. When the conversation shifted to the Fletchtivities event, the energy of the episode changed again. The name itself was funny, almost like something someone would make up as a joke. But even with that, Nell looked nice, she looked refreshed, and she looked ready for her event. The problem came when Kimmy walked right up to her and brought up the soap ball situation immediately. Doing that in a room full of people was messy. If Kimmy wanted to clear the air, she could have done it in private. She could have messaged Nell earlier. She could have pulled her aside quietly. Instead, she spoke about it publicly, putting Nell in a position where she had to react in front of everyone. This was not accidental. It felt like Kimmy wanted to control the narrative, to make herself look innocent and to make Nell look emotional. But that backfired because it made Kimmy look passive-aggressive. Maurice stood there doing all of this, acting like he did not understand what was happening. But Maurice always knows more than he pretends to know. He chooses when to play clueless. He chooses when to act confused. And the problem is that he often steps into situations that have nothing to do with him while avoiding the situations that do involve him. Later in the episode, he asked questions about Melody and Stormy, asking whether they repaired their issues. But that was not his place. He had no reason to bring that up. And fans immediately noticed that he had his own issues to deal with, especially the DUI situation. Even though the case was dismissed, his explanation never sounded believable. The story about hitting an animal and then a pole felt unrealistic. People don't forget details like that. People don't describe it the way he did unless they're hiding something or trying to soften the truth. So for him to question other people's conflicts while ignoring the problems in his own life felt hypocritical. Meanwhile, Martell walked around the event like he was unbothered, but that is how he always acts. What stood out was how Marcel helloed him so casually, even though Martell has publicly disrespected Tisha many times. It was strange to see Marcel act like Martell was still his friend. A man should protect his wife's dignity before anything else, but Marcel shook his hand like nothing ever happened, showing that he cares more about looking friendly than he does about setting boundaries. And Tisha did not say anything. She had loud energy for other women earlier, but she was silent when it came to a man who tried to ruin her reputation. The entire cast felt disconnected in this episode. Everyone had their own storyline and nothing flowed together. Kimmi was in her world, Maurice was in another, Nell had her own emotional reactions, Tisha had her silent confusion act, Martell had his lies, Stormy had her frustrations, Melody stayed away from the mess, and Trish tried to make small problems look huge. It felt like the producers glued scenes together that didn't match. The rhythm of the episode was off, and the audience could feel it. Everything seemed random. As the episode continued, everyone started sharing their own version of events. Kimmi claimed one thing, Nell claimed another. Destiny added another layer. Tisha denied knowing anything. Maurice tried to stay relevant. Martell continued his patterns. Stormy felt dragged into problems she didn't start. And Melody did what she always does now. She kept her space and peace. What stood out was how every storyline overlapped without truly connecting. Everyone had an opinion, but no one wanted responsibility. Everyone had emotions, but no one had clarity. The editing made everything more confusing. The producers seemed to stretch small issues into large storylines. Instead of meaningful conversations, viewers got circles of confusion. It felt like a season that was searching for direction. Toward the end of the episode, the drama grew even more scattered. Old problems resurfaced, even problems that should have been resolved already. People who weren't involved added their voices. People who needed to speak stayed silent. Conversations felt forced. Reactions felt delayed. And the emotional tone kept shifting from moment to moment. This is why so many fans felt frustrated. There was no real resolution, only tension. There was no real honesty, only excuses. And the storyline between Kimmi and Maurice began to crumble even more. They smiled through their issues, but the cracks showed. Their words tried to cover things up, but the truth stayed visible. Viewers could see the pattern of avoiding problems instead of fixing them. They could see how both of them used politeness to hide discomfort. And they could see how the smallest issue turned into a bigger emotional reaction because nothing was addressed properly. Nell's reaction made sense because she felt disrespected. Kimmi's choices made the issue bigger. Maurice added confusion, Tisha added silence, the cast added tension, and the producers added choppy editing. Everything created a storyline that felt chaotic, uneven, and emotionally dishonest. Fans noticed, and that is why the episode became such a topic online. The ending of the analysis brings everything together. It shows that the season felt stretched thin. It shows that tiny problems became giant scenes. It shows that lies and half-truths created cracks in relationships. And it shows that the cast was not prepared for how deeply fans would read between the lines. The truth is, Kimmy and Maurice's calm image is starting to break. Their avoidance, their excuses, their reactions, and their choices are telling a deeper story than their words. And this storyline became one of the most confusing ones of the season because too many things were left unsaid. This full breakdown shows why fans reacted the way they did and why the conversation around Kimmy, Maurice, Nell, and the rest of the cast grew so strong after this episode.